The content presented is for entertainment purposes only. Some content may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Okay. I guess we're on. Yay. I'm not used to doing this part. So,
Bryson,
hi everybody.
Bryson didn't wait until the audio went down. But that's okay.
Any audio.
That's okay.
Oh,
That's
no,
okay.
that's okay. So, welcome to the show. What is this? Periodic review?
Yeah, we're called the Periodic
Doesn't
Review
know.
Podcast.
Yeah. So, I'm not used to hosting. This is normally your deal. So,
Yeah,
It's been a while since we've had a Rianne episode.
this is true. It has been a minute since we've had a Miss Rianne episode.
well, let's not set expectations too high then.
So
You're going to do great, sweetheart. I promise.
we have a treat because, as you guys can see, Jacob's on the couch with Rianne and I
Yes.
because we have a fourth person on the computer.
That's me.
Yay!
And his name is Bryson.
That's me. I'm
Bryson.
The
Bryson.
fourth horseman. About to cause some mayhem.
All of the mayhem.
Yes.
It's exciting. It's very exciting. So,
You're going to want to put that mic closer to your face. Sorry.
There we go.
you pretend
Yeah,
like
there
you're
you go.
eating it, I guess.
No, don't.
Nom, 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 nom.
Well, if you like big things that are black towards your face, it's going to be kind of awkward.
Jacob.
Dude, I was scrolling
That's what she
through.
said.
I was scrolling through TikTok earlier today, and I found this guy that does like children's books, but he like finds ways to make the words very dirty, but not.
Weird segue.
So it's
guy
like-
that makes children's books after talking about.
So
something.
so one of the children's books is called Big Black Hawk,
Oh, shoot.
and then he has another one where like the main character's name is Mike Lit.
These are children's books.
Yeah, and then there's
Yeah,
another.
I don't know if that's appropriate or not.
They're probably written by some like dudes who got really high or something.
Probably.
He definitely seems like the
Okay.
kind of person to do it. But
Fair.
I was like, because I like heard the audio at first, and I was like, wait a minute, what is it? What is this?
Wait, what? Okay. So, that was a fun little squirrel moment.
Sorry, ADHD.
Good job.
You know,
But now we have Bryson, so I feel like we need to have Bryson kind of introduce himself and tell us a little bit about him.
Yes.
And
Who
You
is
know-
Bryce? Who is the Bryson?
who is Bryson?
Me.
What
I am
motivates
Bryson.
him?
Yep. I'm Bryson. I run my own podcast as well. I work with Alakai over here. We vibin'. But yeah, I'm kind of just.
And what is your
enjoying-
podcast about?
Yeah. What's your
my-
podcast called?
My
Get a
podcast
plug.
is called Easily Entertained. I talk about pretty much all things entertainment, movies, books, video games, whatever I find entertaining. So like, I've been doing comedy with like improv and stand-up lately, and so I want to talk about
Ooh,
that
fun.
eventually.
Ooh.
So yeah, kind of all things entertainment. It's a bit exciting. It's pretty much available everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, anywhere else. But yeah, it's a
Nice.
good time.
Awesome,
Check it
man.
out.
have you talked about
Congrats.
God of War Ragnarok yet?
No, because I haven't played it, Alakai.
Damn it!
Oh,
Okay.
man. I haven't played it either, so I'm
You got to get on that. Dude.
I'm one of those people that have a hard time switching games, to be honest. So
Well, I don't have a PlayStation.
Well,
it's,
Jacob,
and it's
you
supposed
have
to
a
come out
hard
on
time with
PC in a year, right?
Yeah.
you have a hard time with change. Period.
Well, this is true.
I swear. And I'm like the type of person that's like, "Hey, new challenge, let's go." And he's like, "Ugh." So anyway,
Best mantra is don't ever change. Just get naked.
If only.
Oh.
If just kidding. Nate.
okay. Well,
solves all your issues.
well, yeah.
Pants not included.
All right. This is gonna go sideways really quick if I don't reel it
Batteries
back
not
in.
included.
Okay, so let's do an update. Alakai, how was your week or 2 weeks? How long?
Yeah,
However,
it's been a couple of weeks, hasn't it?
Has it? Did
No.
we?
No,
do
we
the
did one.
podcast last
No, we
week?
did one last week.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sorry.
did.
Yeah, we did.
You and I did the video game one.
yeah, I
Yes, we
wasn't
did.
here. So
Oh, yeah.
anyway,
That one was super fun. I really
Um,
enjoyed that one.
okay. We're gonna have Alakai tell us.
Not really much new going on.
No?
Work is work. School is school. Oh yeah, we have a Thanksgiving break this week, so
Yay.
Bryson and I don't know if you have any classes, Rian, but
I'm all online, so
oh yeah, that's right.
I get Thanksgiving off this week, and then I get to work on Saturdays now.
I am. We're pretty close to the end of the semester now, so my plan is to do like all of the homework that I have due next week. I'm gonna do like either tonight or tomorrow, and just get that all done now.
so you don't have to
deal
stress.
with it. Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do.
That's smart. That's smart.
Which is totally unlike me because I'm the worst procrastinator.
Procrastinating.
Procrastinator.
Has a stroke.
Well,
I am struggling and
he's available, ladies. Sorry.
Come and get him while he's hot.
I'm actually kind of
Got those-
cold. So
Jeez. Okay.
Good times.
Jacob, what about you?
What about me? It's been really busy the last couple of weeks. This week especially, we had a new person start.
We're not talking about
We're not going
that.
to talk about that. Okay.
No.
So my coworker, she was at a house delivering, and on her way out, a dog popped around the corner, and it freaked her out. She wasn't watching where she was walking, and she tripped over a boulder that was part of the landscape and fell, and she broke her wrist.
She had to have surgery.
She had to have surgery,
Sucks.
and she had a plate and some screws put in, and so it's been really crazy this week. Surprisingly, she came back and worked on Friday.
After
a
having
broken
surgery
wrist.
With a
on
broken
Tuesday.
wrist.
Yeah.
So full cast and everything. So her and her kid, they worked on Friday. So I was like, okay.
Which means she
crazy.
drove and told her kid, "Okay, go take it. Go take it.
Go
Which
run.
is,
is that
Run
actually
fast.
what happened?
I don't know, probably.
Probably.
But that's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. So anyway,
Sorry about the light. I'm going to have to fix that.
Glaring. Look like an angel over here.
I was gonna
blinded
say, you
by
guys
the
have like an angel
light,
halo.
revved up like a deuce.
Get like one of those
in the
ring lights above
morning
us
and
and
the
then-
night. I was just singing blinded. The blinded. You're too young.
Are you
Y'all
the
too
Weekend? Because you got me blinded by the lights.
young. Oh my gosh,
Ooh, I'm blind.
that's funny.
blinded by the lights.
Okay, so let's.
Or
Has
we could do the
everybody
dubstep.
updated?
The dubstep song.
Have you updated?
I am gonna be working from home starting December 5th, which I'm actually really excited about. I'm
Woo!
starting my own business, which I'm also very excited about, and I'm actually really loving life. I'm getting balance, so
You
life
see-
is good.
You seem a lot happier
Do I?
today. Yeah.
I
I was
am.
gonna say you
Yeah.
just seemed like it
There's
seemed like
definitely
you had a lot
change
more.
for sure.
Yeah. My mom is like, "You sound like so much better." And I was like, "Yeah, when you're in the middle of all your stress and crap and just when you're in the middle of all of it, you don't realize how bad it impacts you."
Mm.
But I will tell you, like, physically, mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually, I just feel so much better,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
on so many different levels. So I'm actually, I'm in a renaissance.
Yeah.
You say
So
there's
to
a little bit
speak.
more of a pep in your voice now.
Yeah.
Notice that.
I will be honest. I'm in my renaissance. I'm gonna call it that instead of midlife crisis. So
Yeah, this podcast is my midlife crisis.
jeez.
This
But I'm
podcast
liking
is
it.
my quarter life
it's
crisis.
Fun. It really is fun. Like, we have a lot of changes though. Like, we got the cameras mounted on the ceiling now, and all the cabling is off the floor for the most part
I will say this
Um,
is the best our studio has looked ever.
in a long time. Yeah.
Thank you, Bryson.
Yeah.
Thank you
It's
for
Bryson.
providing.
Shout out to Bryson.
Then you just got cables just all along
on the side.
Dude,
Yeah.
but there was like a table. It was a hot mess. This is looking really good.
Yeah.
The
I really
cables were-
spent some time on it for sure.
The cables were like coming down the middle, just like all up, like they were kind of in the air with the
Yeah.
between.
So
Yeah.
It's like, hey, watch out.
okay, so it was my week to pick the topic. So I picked the topic.
Well, what
of-
about Bryson?
Oh well.
What's
we-
up? What's new with you, Mr. Bryson?
Yeah.
With me, not really anything. You know, work, school, it's all pretty much the same. I'm just vibing. you
Just
know.
vibing.
Just vibing.
He's not
Nice.
stressing. Just
Cut a
vibing.
vibe. No, 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 no. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
See, we're simpatico. This is cool. No, okay. Okay,
The
so
sunlight hurts my eyes.
this week, I chose to talk about futurism because there was that new docuseries that came out on Netflix. Because
The future of.
the future of.
The future of.
And there's all these episodes, which is really cool. But like the ones I thought would be fun to talk about were the ones about like life after death and how they use plants and like the future of like house plants and stuff, because those kind of tied together in those series. And then the one where they talked about like dating, which I was really curious about because the way they have it, like they talked about some different stuff. So I kind of want to talk about like these innovative ideas and stuff, and then what could be the potential like unintended consequences, right? So like, for example, we have science that has come up with GMOs, right? So we genetically modify wheat and everything so that bugs won't eat them, so that the crops could be more plentiful and could feed more and everything. But the unintended consequences, that has caused a lot of issues with our digestive tracts and stuff because our bodies aren't really capable of eating these genetically modified foods. And so we're seeing a lot of people who are now being diagnosed with like gluten intolerances and celiac disease and all that sort of stuff.
Peanut allergies.
So do you think is that just a correlation, or do you think that's like more of a causation type of thing?
I think it's a causation, honestly, because it's not like the wheat has evolved. Like, okay, there's the natural progression that nature takes, right? But it's like we kind of started playing God a little bit and modifying it so that the bugs wouldn't eat it. And if bugs aren't going to eat it, what makes us think that it's good for us? I don't know. So like, but there's a lot of different things. It's, we don't necessarily know how much it really impacts us, or people do. And it's a conspiracy that like, they're just trying to kill us off because they think the world's overpopulated. I don't know. There's a lot of different conspiracy theories out there, but the thought of what?
Thanos,
yes, that's true.
Let's get rid of half the population.
Yeah.
get a new plague. COVID didn't work.
Well,
Oh.
and then we're also running the issue where farms, like farmland, is being like used within a short amount of time, and since we're not using like regenerative processes, and we're doing very high manufacturing, high yield, low hectares, like we're at the point now where farmland is the topsoil is getting used up really, really quickly, and so they're struggling to be able to mass produce stuff as well.
Is that why eggs are so goddamn expensive now?
No.
Seriously.
Swear to God, if I'm paying $6 for a carton of 12 eggs,
I've been thinking I'm like gonna go get 2 chickens and set up a little roost out here so we can have eggs, because I don't want to have to buy eggs anymore.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, that's kind of where I want to be. Like, I want to be able to purchase like 8 or 10 acres of land and have a home on it. Be like a
10
homestead.
10 acres of land? Are you kidding me? Do you know how much land that's a lot of land.
Well, we definitely want to have enough room, to
That's like an
to
entire
raise,
block.
Well, we want to raise like a cow, for milk, and maybe a bull or 2 for beef. We want to have like pigs and chickens
And goats
for pork and stuff. I don't know about goats. I'm not going to eat
goat's
the goats.
milk. Goat's milk is really good for you.
Okay. Well,
Or
that's,
anyway.
But then use regenerative techniques to keep the land to be able to like grow stuff, like alfalfa and hay and stuff like that for the animals, in a way where you can keep growing that. So not after 7 years you have to basically, tear up that topsoil and bring in new topsoil, or basically turn them into homes.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I would want to do, and I know that's kind of regressive when you think of like technology and the way that we live as human beings.
Is it regressive or is it symbiotic?
Or it's, kind of returning back to the roots of, human life and
roots.
being more, living more off the land.
Yeah. So the thing is I think we as humans are fantastically brilliant and have wonderful ideas, but we don't always think through what the consequences could potentially be.
Right.
And so, like, I don't know. I'm curious. What are your guys' thoughts on like the whole using plants, house plants as as computers or to store our consciousness after we die, kind of thing.
I like the idea of storing data and like using plants more seriously like that. I don't know that like this is weird because when we talked, because a couple of weeks ago we talked about astral travel and astral projection. So in my head, if like your consciousness is placed in that plant, does that mean that you were then spiritually bound to that plant and like you can't go anywhere else? Because if so, that would suck. And
Right.
I don't want to feel bound to just one place, right?
To one physical thing.
Yeah, granted, like believe in whatever it is that you want to believe in if that's not your thing. But like when they had the whole sequence where they showed your data from like social media all uploaded into this plant, and you could go to this plant and have a conversation with
your loved
digital
one. You're a digital. It's not necessarily the consciousness, because I don't think we could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But like they can take everything, your entire digital footprint, and kind of create a likeness of you for your loved ones to interact with.
So
it was like a new memorial type thing.
Yeah.
Is what they wanted to do. So like instead of like a traditional graveyard and just headstones, you could go around to trees and have like a hologram or something pop up and tell you about their life, and you can interact with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So is that weird? Like, to me, that's kind of weird.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say for me, it didn't seem like it really went into depth as far as like how that all works and how it's going to be stored, if it's going to be stored permanently. Because I don't know how often plants regenerate like their cells and stuff. Like, you know how human beings, like every like 10 years or whatever, that like every cell in your body is like renewed, or something like that. I could be incorrect on how many years, but every so many years, like all of your cells like regenerate in your body.
Every cell in your body regenerates.
So basically, they've all healed and regenerated, and basically are different than the previous cells. So it's like, okay, how does that work with plants? And if these plants grow, like things like trees, and I know they grow a lot slower than like small plants and stuff like that. But how does that work? Like, are all those cells regenerate and they become new ones, or how does that work?
Same. So your DNA and like the DNA of cells all stays the same. It's just being duplicated. And so with that kind of stuff, like everything would still stay the same. Like that's why like your consciousness and your brain is still the same, like regardless of your cells constantly changing. Because the DNA is just being duplicated.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's like almost like
carbon copies. Like
exactly. Like they're almost clones of each other rather than being completely replaced.
Okay.
Until you can figure out how to modify, like consciously modify your DNA into something totally different. And then, I don't know. I'm just like, but there are, because we talked about meditation and astral projection and stuff. And there are people who have literally started a healing process in their body and have cured themselves of like cancers and MS and stuff. Like they have scientific proof of this. Like if you look at Joe Dispenza and the work he's been doing, he's been holding these meditation retreats where like you create a collective consciousness of healing and stuff, and people like get up and walk. It's cool.
So,
well then I guess. So the way that it was describing in this particular futurism documentary / thing is that, they take the ones and zeros from data and then input them as the DNA letters.
Sequences,
So is that like added, like, that how is it written onto it? Like that doesn't make sense to me. Is it like...
I don't know. That's why they're the scientists.
Well, that's the thing, is it really didn't go into depth as far as like how that would actually work. Like, is it in place of, or is it like written on top of, or because it's like it's really difficult to create something out of nothing and then trying to add something to something. Like, does it take up the same space? Is it written on top of it? Like, that's where I just don't understand. Like, from
I think that would be very hard to explain in a 20-minute episode.
True.
My brain hurts.
True.
I know. So you're asking some pretty deep questions, and this is probably like the theory, like they're presenting theories.
Could probably have a whole documentary on this episode alone.
Yeah.
Probably.
Each of them, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
I don't know that I love the idea of having like your digital footprint in a plan, like for people to talk to. I don't know that I love that idea, just because people tend to post what they want on social media.
What
they don't
want people to see and want people to know of you.
People see, like, you only allow, well, I mean, not everybody, but like you pretty much allow people to see what you want them to see. So they don't get to see the bad parts of you and like the parts about yourself that you don't love. Like,
But
that's
yeah. But
that is a problem that I do have. Like, let's say if like my mom were to go, I don't know that I would want that for her. Like, I would want to keep those memories of her, just that. I would want to keep them just as memories. I don't want like some digital footprint of her left that isn't her.
well, and
So
there could be, I mean, because if you develop that technology, and if that technology is that smart, the capability to impersonate somebody, like if they can make a voice sound just like a person and a personage of a person who's passed on, they could do it to somebody who's alive, and like fraud, identity theft, you know what I mean?
The
Like,
facsimiles become a lot more real than what they are intended to.
there's a lot of unintended consequences that could happen. I mean, identity theft is a huge issue now, but I mean, imagine if somebody got their hands on that and
I didn't even
Like
think
some of the
that.
deep fakes, like with
Yeah.
individuals.
Oh,
Like take like the Apple car that they put up on social media. Watch this car like spin around, do all this stuff, and watch it like plug itself into the wall to recharge. But it was all fake, but with people. And there's like enough data, especially for somebody who does podcasts and stuff. Like, how many like thousands of hours does Joe Rogan have? And especially a video of him, not only like social media, but then through his podcast. So you
Think
could
about
literally do a facsimile of Joe Rogan, have him do a full podcast, say whatever you want, come out of his mouth. Like that could be dangerous.
well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, things that we create in a very altruistic type of frame of mind, like, look at all the capabilities. We are also human, and the human race can also be extremely nefarious. There are nefarious actors within the human race that could take and do a lot of harm. So that's kind of where I think people need to be a little bit more critical in how they think about some of these things. Like, the possibilities of doing all this stuff is awesome, but what could happen? So, like, have you guys ever seen the movie The Happening?
No, I saw
Mark
the
Wahlberg.
ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, and I was like, no.
Okay, so it is
Yeah, it wasn't-
M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Shyamalan.
Yes, that
There you
dude.
go.
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan.
So it is one of his movies, but the reason why I bring it up is because there have been, and even like plants will change their biological makeup for self-preservation, right? So in this movie, the whole concept is that the trees released a specific pheromone that messed with our neurobiology and was causing people to kill themselves because they felt threatened by the human race. So that's the whole premise of that entire movie. And there is proof. There's like a tree that like giraffes will eat in Africa.
I'm a giraffe.
I know, right? So they'll start eating,
I'm
and
a
once a tree starts once a tree starts to be eaten by a giraffe, it will release a certain pheromone and send a signal to the trees downwind, and those trees will change their makeup so it becomes unedible to giraffes. So it's like a weird, like, symbiotic relationship that these trees do.
It's like sending a wide Bluetooth signal.
Right? But that's what I'm saying. Like, so
Plants
The
have
giraffes
Bluetooth.
are coming.
yeah. But plants do that. So there have been plants that do that. They do it kind of on their own for self-preservation or whatever. Like grass. Grass is like one of the longest standing plants, and there's all these variations and stuff. It's because like it can be completely wiped out but by a fire, but still grow back. I mean, just because
It's very resilient.
yeah, it's very resilient. So it's really interesting, like as they were talking about imprinting DNA on plants and all this stuff. I'm like, but what happens if the plants get sick of us messing with their genetic makeup and they start doing shiz to kill us, right?
Well, this is basically Avatar, like the possibilities of like Avatar basically coming to life.
Pandora.
Here.
Just,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
Which also, speaking of which, like, I mean, the idea of like taking jellyfish DNA and crossing it with a plant to make bioluminescent plants was like, oh, I would get that plant. Like, that would be so cool.
But here's
Glow in
the
the dark
thing,
fish.
because like genetic power is insanely powerful. You can alter like the complete makeup of something. But that's like the movies, like the Jurassic Park movies. They are all saying like why genetic like tampering can be so
Detrimental.
volatile
Yeah.
and like bad, because things can go wrong and you don't really necessarily stop to think, should we do this? You just are like, oh, we can do this.
Let's
do
try it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking about, like with this whole futuristic, the future of series, when they talked, because there's a series or there's an episode about dogs, like where we can eventually communicate with our dogs. And I'm like, I don't know if people
please.
said, I don't know if I want to know what my dog thinks. What if my dog hates me or thinks I'm an asshole? So I'm kind of like,
If they think
fair.
you're an asshole, they'll let you know. They will let you know.
True.
They kind of, that's the thing. Like, I kind of like how we communicate with dogs now, because we learn a lot of skills from how we train our dogs, like self-awareness, our empathy from like being able to train and
Nonverbal.
brilliant. Yeah.
Which is something that we as a species, like human beings, are losing the ability for nonverbal communication because everything is so digitized now. So I think dogs are like animals kind of help us keep that.
I'm literally taking a nonverbal communication course next semester.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Are you going to talk about body language?
that's
I think
Interesting.
I'm
Yeah.
taking that same class, Kai.
You and me might be in that same class again.
We probably will be.
Well,
That's
isn't
awesome.
isn't a good portion of our communication nonverbal anyways? Because
Yeah.
as a species, like we were nonverbal for thousands of years. If you espouse to the understanding of Darwinism, like as far as like us
the natural
progressing,
evolution.
natural evolution of man from ape to man. If you espouse to that belief, then we were nonverbal for many generations. Like we only have been verbal for how long now? Maybe a few thousand years.
I don't know.
Probably. It
3,000
looks
4,000
like
years, something
there
like
was
that.
a study that says about 55% is nonverbal.
Wow.
That's
Can you imagine?
surprising.
Can you
Okay.
imagine kids' development during the time when we were forced to wear masks most of the time?
Oh, they're seeing huge delays.
Good
now.
grief!
But I
I-
also feel like eye contact and like more eye expression became more prevalent with masks because you could only see eyes. And so I feel like people got better with that kind of expression. But
a good point.
like anything below that was
Yeah.
kind of hindered. But eyes and like eyebrows definitely for sure were used
Yeah.
a lot more.
That's true. That's
could
a
definitely-
good point.
You could definitely tell when people were smiling too when they were wearing masks,
They
because
smile
you
with
could
their eyes.
see
Smile with
you-
their eyes.
Yeah, you
You got
you
as
could
someone
see
who
the
worked
smile.
as someone who worked retail, I definitely learned the smile eyes when I was talking with customers, and I was like, "I hate you, but I'm a smile."
Oh,
That's
and
hilarious.
everybody, but that's the other thing is COVID really got people to, I don't know. I think it brought out the best and the worst in society.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like that's just that instance of what it was. Like probably made us like even more divisive than
Yeah.
any other thing that's come out like for a long while.
So, Bryson, did they say that 55% was nonverbal, 38% was tone?
Was vocal, and then 7% was words only.
Yeah. So,
So
most of our
vocal, I guess
expression is-
vocal might be vocal. I guess could be tone because
Yeah,
like the tone
auditory.
of the words that you use.
Yeah, it could
like,
be tone.
Tone's definitely
probably
Like-
could be
important.
because I could be
sound.
like, Jacob, I freaking love you. God damn it, baby.
I
This-
love you, dog.
I'm gonna assume that this doesn't include like text messaging and phone calls or anything like that, because
Those would be words.
Yeah.
oh, okay, so 7% is just wow.
Is words, yeah.
You think that 7%? It would be a little bit higher than 7%,
No,
or a lot higher.
That's incredible.
that's why there's so
Emails,
much
text
miscommunication, though.
Like,
I think that's what leads to so much not misinformation, but miscommunication or misunderstandings, is because when you're getting too reliant on just words themselves,
yeah.
there's danger in that.
Well,
Because there's so much left to interpretation, and so like we have emojis and stuff now, but that
those-
still is kind of iffy.
So that can make like love languages with words of affirmation kind of dangerous too, because like, wow, I was going on a tangent and I just totally
Yeah.
lost my thought.
Aw.
Damn.
Don't you hate that?
I hate when that
like
happens.
your head's like right in the right spot, and then you get in the groove, and then all of a sudden it just like slips out of gear for
I guess-
whatever reason.
Because Jacob starts talking.
I do
over
that
you.
all the time.
Because it's like actions can speak louder than. I guess that saying does make sense
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
Actions can
Yeah,
speak
it
louder
does,
than words
for sure.
So just because you drop the L word doesn't mean that
Right.
like just saying it a bunch is gonna really mean it. You have to
Well,
go out of your way to show someone that you actually love them. And
think about it. Like people can say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you," but then they keep doing the action that is
Mhm.
offensive. Like,
Yeah.
do you see
So
what
it's
I'm
like,
saying?
do they really feel bad for that, and have they,
Right.
you know,
Like, I can. Yeah. Oh. Anyway.
Well, something that's been really interesting, at least the things that I've been like reading and listening about, is about primates, especially the ones that are the closest cousins. You know, bonobos and chimpanzees. A lot of
Chimpanzees are
people
scary.
are still under the understanding that the whole like alpha beta male stuff like works in nature, and that's actually not true. With chimpanzees and bonobos, however you say the word, and bonobos, they do their leadership through reciprocity, and so it's not necessarily the biggest ape or the biggest bonobo that's actually the leader of their little
Troop.
group. It's usually the
Their
ones
tribe.
that's the best
Troop.
with reciprocity and like, you know, helping other people and like doing that back
That's
and forth.
capitalism.
And usually
Sorry.
a chimp will literally
and-
tear
and
your leg
usually-
off.
And usually if it is an alpha sort of male dominance that comes in and tries to takes over, usually it's another group of individuals that come together to take out that person because they don't want somebody like that in their leadership, which is really interesting.
Did you know that chimps like to hunt little animals that are similar to them, like baby monkeys, like
Yeah.
red-tailed monkeys?
Mhm.
And not only that, but they can't tell the difference, or maybe they can and they just don't give a shit, but they can't tell the difference
Probably
between
the
the
latter.
monkeys they hunt and human babies. There is literally a story in 2002 in Gombe National Park where an adult male chimp went into a family's home in Africa and kidnapped an infant and left the past tense baby for researchers to find later.
Shit.
And
He killed it.
he ate it.
Yeah.
He ate the baby.
Yeah. Like
Ew.
They will literally tear your leg off and beat the shit out of you with it.
Like they're
They're the most terrifying animals.
What's really interesting is
and
that
they're
we are-
strong.
as Homo sapiens, we're very different from the natural world order. Like, you know, like insects. Like a lot of insects will they'll kill their mate and eat them, or even
Like
kill
the praying
them and
mantis.
wait them and have them wait, and then the babies will feed off of that mate. Like, yeah, like
Spiders.
Nature is effed, man. Like there is zero F's given in nature.
That's like
And-
parasitic wasps too. Like
Yeah.
they will lay their eggs in another insect and they'll just emerge out of it. It's like what the movie Alien is based off of.
Yeah.
Is so like they literally like impregnate the insect with their eggs, and as they hatch, they eat it from the inside out.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
there's actually
like
a couple of different
bobflies
species that do,
do
that.
that.
I'm really sorry, but there is a wasp that usually stays by themselves out in the wild, and they'll actually lay their eggs in a live caterpillar, and they will sprout outside of that caterpillar while it's still alive. Like it'll go on and do its own thing, and then once the eggs hatch, they'll basically burst out of it just like that. That's just really interesting. And
Ooh.
then there's another species called the tarantula hawk, which is a wasp, and they will kill and lay their eggs inside of tarantulas, and then they'll eat their way out. Yeah, like
What?
nature is freaking F, dude. Like, could you imagine if we had like these different species that will actually like if they were like supersized, like as big as the dinosaurs
Okay,
were?
no, we're not talking about that. I do not need
we
nightmares.
would be effed. Like humanity would really struggle.
There was
if
a
insects
period-
were as big as that.
There was a
as
period
dinosaurs.
in time where insects were like that. I think it's the Cambrian age, but like insects like ruled, and so they like a spider was like as big as a house cat.
Oh,
And,
good grief!
Oh my
And-
gosh, you
and
guys are
there's
going to give
Australia.
me freaking nightmares.
and there's was like a
can't.
centipede called Arthropleura that's like the size of like a car.
Oh my god!
No.
Could you
no.
imagine like waking up in the middle of the night while you're camping
Ew.
around your campfire
Shut up.
and this
Shut
caterpillar
Stop.
the size of a car
So, anyways,
starts eating your feet?
Okay,
thank you for hosting this week's episode, Rian.
seriously, this went so off track, and
I
now I'm
love
going to
it.
have nightmares.
I love it. It's good.
No, I can't. Centipedes. I'm even seeing those pictures, and
Imagine being reincarnated into something like a centipede.
ew.
No thanks.
Halakai, seriously. Okay.
Maybe if a centipede's trying to come after you, maybe it's just a loved one and they're just trying to get back to you.
Yeah,
And you're over here trying to kill the centipede that's just trying to make its way
Well,
back into your
my
life.
loved ones would know that if they came back as a centipede, they would die a very quick death again, because I wouldn't.
Just
I don't
bam!
do bugs.
Maybe
I
that's-
don't do bugs.
Maybe that's
No,
why
you
they're
don't.
like,
You
I
don't
need
do
my
bugs.
life to end now so I can reincarnate into something else. Rian, please kill me.
This
got dark. I'm sorry.
I can't do reincarnation because like I do not like the idea of dying and then becoming something else and living out a life.
Ooh, there's a really fun video I kind of like on YouTube. It's like this little short film called The Egg. But it's so basically saying that like everyone is technically the same person. And you're like evolving into like a god, and it's reincarnation over and over until you've embodied every person that has ever lived. And then you like evolve into like an all-knowing being. So that's like what like the veil is you like forgetting all your past lives.
Okay.
And then at the very end, after you've lived every human being possible, it all flows back to you, and you're like this super being essentially.
That's
Okay, now that makes me
And-
want to take ayahuasca and go on a really big trip and like see if that's true.
And I think that's really interesting because then like the thing that separates you from your other lives is just the knowledge.
Exactly.
Like that's what gives you your reciprocity. Is that the right word? Your supremacy.
Supremacy, yeah.
That's probably the right word. Your supreme understanding is what makes you godlike. Like that. I mean, intelligence. I feel like that would make sense. Like if you were.
You live a ton of lives to gain
Yeah.
a ton of intelligence, and
That would be more interesting than me like becoming a dog. I don't like the idea of becoming a dog.
I would be down to become a dog, just not in China.
Oh my god.
I thought that was a myth. I thought that was a myth that
no.
that they ate like domesticated dogs, because I thought they were like the biggest like proprietors of like dog companionship. Like everybody has a dog like out in China, or is
I
that
think-
Japan?
I think
Maybe
they
I'm
have
thinking
cats.
Japan.
I don't know. But they've been known to, like, there was a myth that I remember there was this restaurant in my hometown growing up called China Night. And like it was an urban legend that like the health department would go do inspections there and they would find cat carcasses that had been hit and in the freezer and stuff. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Again, it was an urban myth.
I don't know
it
if
was
that's
an
true or
urban
not.
myth. No, it's not.
But
I'm
it
just
is-
saying that was like a stereotype, and that was like
So yeah, that is a stereotype that people
That's-
think.
literally one of like the Ogden urban myths that existed.
That's
Only in
funny.
Utah.
The Ogden myths.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forget Bryson's from Ogden. He's a fellow Ogdenite.
Yes, I am.
An Ogdenite, is that?
Yep, that is the technical term.
Yes.
And also, I'm seeing here, it is technically legal to eat dogs in China, and it looks like around 10 to 20 million are eaten every year.
yeah.
Really? So that's
Because-
legit then.
I don't know how recent this was
Because-
written this year.
Because well, like that's
Wow.
the biggest thing. Like wet markets, like that was a big thing. They said COVID came from the wet market because they're able to eat animals like bats and pangolins and
Did you say
cats
what's
and
a
dogs.
pangolin?
It's that's what they
It's
said
kinda
COVID
like-
came from.
It's kind of like an armadillo.
yeah.
Oh, weird.
Wait, really? A penguin?
I'm really sorry
a
that camera's
pangolin.
messing up.
Oh.
This.
Oh.
They're kind of like armadillos.
Gotcha.
Oh,
They're-
they're the ones that kind of look like a Pokemon.
They do. They look
Pangolin,
like
I choose you.
it's sand. Yeah, sand shrew. That's the one it looks like.
yeah, like legit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know. I
That is so, dude. I love that Bryson's just on it.
I know immediately.
It's like Pokemon. Got it. Sandshrew.
I got you.
yeah. So it's very anyway.
Well, and if we're going back to our topic that we kind of got down a little rabbit hole here just a minute ago, is that
I
like
blame you.
is like then like what like I think death will mean a lot different to a lot of people than if they're taking all this information from social media and these pictures and stuff and recordings and they're basically doing a facsimile of a dead loved one so they can interact with them like in the afterlife. Now it'd be like a really maybe a souped up Siri rather than like an actual like interaction with that person from the past. Like you'd need an astronomical amount of data and like algorithms to really make it seem like it's an actual person.
I think though, like, if you're gonna put data in a plant, what happens if the plant dies?
That's another
Ooh,
thing.
yeah.
Because
That's another thing.
like we were talking about how like cells are all like the same DNA, but like seeds from plants are different. Like they're just different enough so that they're not all clones, unless they're like made from like saplings. So if like you take like
Like
cuts-
graffiting and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
So if you take like cuts of a tree, that would probably maintain that information. But if you don't have anything and the tree just dies, do you lose all that information about that person?
that's a good point. They
So-
didn't really go into that.
Can't you nurture plants back to life if it's early enough? If the
I think
plant
it
starts dying, you
depends.
can nurture it back.
I think it depends. Like, there was, it wasn't recent, but this was like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, where they had a really bad beetle infestation in Yellowstone, and they basically ate a lot of the trees, and they had to fall a lot of the trees. Like, and the only reason I know this is because when I was a baby, so this must have been like 30 or 40 years ago. Well, 30, 35 years ago.
It was
But
in, like,
basically,
it was in like the 60s. It
Yeah.
was, like,
The 60s.
no,
Damn, you're old.
there might be a newer one.
there might have been a newer one, but I know they've had like really bad beetle infestation several different times throughout the last 100 years, and basically,
yes,
they've-
in the 90s, after like a forest fire, it looks like there was like a beetle infestation.
Yes, that's when it was because there was a forest fire in the late 80s,
and then after that,
and
the
then
beetles
the
came.
beetles came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ladies.
in the
Yeah.
80s.
And so that's something you can't nurture back to health. Like the beetles will eat the trees inside and out, and it'll just kill them.
Okay, so in that case, if that plant that your digital footprints are in does happen to die, you
You're
lose that
boned.
data. Then you lose that data. I would
Okay,
assume.
but They also have the option, which is the option that I want for when I die, is they will actually put your body in a pod and plant a tree in it.
Oh, and you turn to soil.
Yeah,
and then
they
you turn to soil,
into
and
soil and like,
I'm
you
like,
can grow a tree.
yes, do that. That's what I would like to
I
have.
think sorry, I apologize.
My loved ones.
I'm trying so hard not to talk over people. I'm doing terrible today.
I know.
I apologize.
Seriously.
There's just so many things like going through my mind right now. But I think in the long run, I think that's going to be more sustainable to turn people into soil and like plant more trees than to, fill cemeteries full of coffins of people. And thinking of the funeral home industry, was it like $20 billion industry right now?
It's huge.
Something like that. And
and they pass laws and regulations so that you have to use funeral homes.
yeah, like I actually like the idea. It's a very progressive idea, but I like the idea because like I think it's either China or Japan, somewhere out in Asia, where almost 100% of their individuals are cremated. And so they don't have like
there's
traditional, yeah, because there's just too many people.
Yeah.
And so if you're replacing people, instead of like, having all these different places where we're burying people and instead we're growing trees, I think that's more sustainable, number one. And number two, it's also helping our carbon emissions because trees will actually absorb a lot of those carbons and, push out oxygen.
Especially because like with graveyards and stuff, they clear that land. So they can bury people. And I feel like it'd be way more sustainable if instead of just clearing it, they put more soil and just grow new things.
I will
make
be
tomatoes
honest.
out of my body and then make some chili.
I don't know about that.
Why is it spicy?
I think it might.
Why is it spicy?
Oh my gosh. My friend calls tomatoes. My friend calls tomatoes the devil's testicles.
They are.
So when you say it like that, I'm like,
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Shout out to Mel. Anyway,
It's spicy.
Why is it spicy?
Why is it spicy?
okay. Anyway, we're getting off track again. But is what I'm saying. Did you know, like, the Ogden Cemetery has been in existence for so long, and that's where they bury people who like pass away, like John Does, Jane Does, all that sort of stuff. Do you know how many people have been buried probably in the same spot? It's not like they're gonna advertise it or anything, but like it's the city cemetery. So when, like, I'm just curious how many bodies are actually in one grave.
Hey, funeral home, what's your body count?
That's okay. That's such a double meaning. That's so creepy.
It's your body count.
That was a good one, bro. That was a good one. Well, and it's interesting. Like, remember when? Were you with me when we went to Louisiana? Have you ever been to Louisiana, Rianne?
Yeah.
Okay. So, have you ever been to any of the cemeteries? So, because the area is so swampy, and a lot of times
they bury
it
them
floods,
above ground.
They
Yeah.
bury everybody above ground,
In
so they
crypts.
have them in crypts above ground instead of 6 feet below, like
So
It's
like
everybody
tombs
else in the world.
or
Yeah, like in New
So
Orleans.
they're like in
Okay.
tombs, but they're above ground, so
they're
that
catacombs, like above.
gotcha.
It's like mausoleums.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like it's really interesting to go to those different areas and like see the different like ways that they've created these different crypts on the top side of the land instead of like in the ground.
So like there's mausoleum, like Bryson, you might know Levitt Mortuary has like the mausoleums,
Yeah.
right? So my grandpa helped dig and pour the foundation for those, and as payment, he received space in the mausoleum. And so like my grandparents are buried in a mausoleum, and it's creepy as hell because you go in there, it's all damp, and it's like it's built on top of a swamp, on top of a swampy area. It's really gross. And we
Yeah.
did ghost hunting in there. It was trippy. It was weird. That's a whole nother podcast. It's
We already
really
had
fun.
that podcast. You already told us about
We
it.
did talk a little bit about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now so we have enough time. I'm curious because this is where I want Bryson and Alakai to jump in a little bit more on their opinion. But in the future of, they had the future of dating apps and dating and learning how to or figuring out how to meet people and everything. So I'm curious because I fortunately didn't play in the whole dating app arena very much.
Neither did I.
So we had
It was
Jacob
kind of
and
in
I were
its
fortunate.
infancy when we were kind of
No, Tinder was.
How long has Tinder been around?
A while.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bryson's on it. Look at him go.
I'm looking.
I
Look at him
discovered.
go.
I think I was introduced.
Thank you,
I was
sir.
introduced to
Appreciate it.
Tinder when I was in high school, so it's been around
Same.
for a fat minute.
Because
Yeah, so
when
it
we were
was there.
graduating high school,
It was in 2012 is when Tinder started.
Holy yeah, that's
that is pretty old. So it's been around almost
10 years.
about 20 years.
No, 10.
10 years.
10.
I can't count. You're right. 2012. I'm stupid.
You're not stupid.
I'm stupid. That was
A
was
fool.
such an easy equation, and I just completely was like, oh yeah, it's 20.
You're good, babe. But
But
so,
still, 2012, and we were married in 2014.
yeah,
So it was literally been out for a few years when we
a
dated.
couple of years. So I got on there once when I was in Arizona, and I was like, oh, no,
But
not
we
for
had
me.
we had different stuff before that. We had what do we have Christian Mingle,
There was
and
Match.com,
Match.com,
eHarmony.
eHarmony. So there was
Oh my gosh.
dating sites, but there wasn't
Yeah.
a dating app.
And I remember people would mock me because I was the worst. They're like, what's up, eHarmony? I'm like, ugh. So that became an insult and stuff. But in this future of, they
Oh my
talked about a
goodness.
dating app that would coordinate meet cutes or whatever. So I'm curious, what are your guys'
What's
thoughts
a meet
on-
cute?
It's how we met. We had a meet cute.
It's AI kind of walking you through situations where you could possibly meet people.
Oh,
So it's being
okay.
like, oh, go to a bar, sit on this side of the bar on the edge or whatever, and
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
maybe
'Cause
directing
we met
other
through
people.
friends.
So a meet cute is when you meet somebody and you have a cute how you met story. It's the it's a cute serendipitous how you met kind of thing. And
Okay.
so the future of dating apps is they're going to start coordinating that.
How I Met Your Mother 2040.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, kind
I'd
of
probably
weird.
watch it.
I'd be good. You don't know.
The first one was pretty good. The second one was meh.
Haven't seen it.
It's yeah.
It's kind of I don't know. It's pretty well.
Let's get back on topic though. I'm because I'm really curious. I mean,
But-
you guys are dating in the dating realm. How do you think that would work? Or would you use it? Is that something you would use?
Maybe I don't remember the dating one. Can you guys refresh my memory?
You fell asleep.
Bryson, you go ahead. I know you have a partner and
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah, so I met my girlfriend on Tinder. And so the whole episode it's kind of talking about how AI maybe have a bigger part to play with dating apps in the future, which we already kind of do, cuz it's all based on algorithms. It's how long you swipe. Well, how long you look at a profile, so how long you're lingering, who you swipe on, who you don't swipe on, how many people you're doing either with. And so it's
And your preferences, it
Exactly.
bases. So it also mentioned that based off of that, it's not going to show you as diverse of a.
Yeah, there could be a lot of racial bias
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
because especially depending on areas. So if, say, being in Cedar, which is a very predominantly white area, if you're on that and then you go somewhere else where there are more people of color, it may not show you as many people of color, even though it may be more the majority in that area, because of how that algorithm works.
Has read your preferences up to that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even though that's the only thing that's really available in the area.
By the way, side note, white men in predominantly black areas would do pretty well.
Wait, how do you
How do you know that?
Because I have never been hit on so much in my entire life when I was living out in Savannah, Georgia. I'm a Savannah, Georgia, 8, apparently.
Oh my
I got
gosh.
hit on so much, it was really uncomfortable. And I was wearing a ring and everything. I was just like, oh, that's great. You know, me and my wife, you know, we do these things.
They're like,
and
that ring means nothing to me.
yeah. Like literally, like legit, I had women be like, well, she don't gotta know. I'm like, but I'd know.
Well, I had a lot of.
You
I
got hit on a lot too.
I got propositioned by a lot.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
I had a guy say, "Why don't you come in here and get naked, and I'll buy a system from you?" I was like, "Excuse me."
I mean, I don't blame him, but I mean,
You have to say,
wait till after the podcast.
but yeah, that's something that's really interesting. Like, and I grew up and I've lived more predominantly in white areas, so it's just kind of one of those things. Like, you date more people that you're around in different areas. So like, if we actually lived in Savannah, Georgia, or if I lived in Savannah, Georgia, I probably would be dating more of a mixed group of individuals when I'd be dating, because just of the area,
it's just the area is more diverse.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're in Arizona, it's predominantly white and Latino. But if you go to Savannah, Georgia, it's predominantly like black.
Yeah. Oh, your grandma though.
Bless her heart.
Like,
My
how old
racist
is she?
grandma.
96.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, and bless. So Chris is married to Saranya, who's
She's
Indian.
Well, she's
she's Indian.
yes, but she grew up in Singapore.
Yeah, but but your grandma told Chris that, like, I guess it's okay for you to
Yeah,
to
she,
date
gave
like
him
a
permission.
Mexican. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious, Grandma? Like, of course it is.
Yeah, that's just, it definitely shows like definitely different generation
differences. Yeah.
Yeah, like 60 years ago was very, very different.
No, it's weird. Anyway,
You know,
but
where individuals were more prone to marry and date those within their same skin tones, their same melanin. Where now
But-
today we're so diverse and wide, and like we're connected to the world more, where that's not really as big of a deal it was before, because we're connected to everybody more.
yeah, well, I don't know. I don't want to
anyway.
get into the whole race thing too much. Anyway, but
But I
The
don't know.
four
'Cause
white
I'm
people
okay with
talking about race were like,
I know. I'm just like, this is a recipe to get like a ton of crazy. I don't know. I don't want to get into accidentally saying something, and
Well, we
being
all make
offensive.
mistakes, but we can always
but
we can
it's like
always come back
something
from
we
it.
Everybody
can
makes
talk about, but
mistakes.
we don't really have, like, I don't know, verification is the wrong word. Credibility. We don't really have credibility to talk about that kind of stuff
yeah,
since we're all white.
I mean, I can talk about my experience.
I was gonna say, the only
gone
thing
on
we
a few
can-
dates with black guys.
You did tell me this. I
Yeah.
do remember.
One
But I
of
mean-
them was a rugby coach. He was hot.
A rugby coach, a black rugby coach. I think
Yeah,
was
he
he
was hot.
was he from Europe?
No, he was from Louisiana or Georgia or something. I can't remember.
Okay,
But he was up in Ogden.
When you-
He's
when
like,
you
"You want to
think
go on a date?"
rugby-
And I was like, "Yeah."
it's just when you think rugby, you would think like UK. You don't think like United States. So that's why I was like, oh, is he from the UK? Must have had a great accent.
It's kind of more prominent
But-
in the United States.
Yeah.
Rugby, really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's gained popularity
Interesting.
for sure. Anyway,
But anyway,
so would you guys utilize an app if you knew that the algorithm was pointing you to somebody who is your potential mate or something? Like, to me, I think it would be like, do they really like me, or do I really like them, or am I just with them because a computer told me so?
See, this is where I feel like we would need a woman our age to kind of chime in on this, because it's the dating app world is different for guys and girls. I think Bryson broke it when he chose to make a Tinder profile that he did. I don't know if you want to talk about that. But
can we hear about your Tinder profile? Because I love that story.
Before we do that, can I give you guys some I found was really interesting about the Tinder app is that well, when it comes to men, like men and women, it seems that men swipe which way is to
Right.
men
right?
typically swipe right pretty frequently.
frequently more. Like
I spend hours on Tinder, just like, or not hours, but like.
And then you
yeah.
run out, and you're like,
Yeah.
whoops.
But you need to. I think you need to verify this. But what I was hearing on Joe Rogan's podcast was that women we're swiping 20% to the right versus men swiping almost
Like
80% to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Women find 20% of the male population attractive.
Yeah. Yeah, modern women is a whole different ballgame. Like, we
Bryson-
could probably have a full podcast just on modernism around women. Like nowadays, it's very different than what it was.
Bryson broke it though. He found a very smart technique.
Sorry. Go ahead. I
So-
apologize,
Yeah.
Bryson.
I want to hear his story.
Yeah, so I did kind of break it a little bit because I just wanting to like do whatever because I wasn't really like wanting a like committed relationship. I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna do whatever. I made my Tinder account as Spider-Man. So because I have a Spider-Man suit
With
That's-
the mask.
I
on.
did. I had the mask on. There was no picture of my face on the profile. I just took the pictures I have of myself as Spider-Man, and I made a Tinder profile, and like the bio was like a quote, like kind of referencing No Way Home, and like my ex doesn't remember me, so I'm on here now. But I got like, I probably had like before I deleted it because I met my girlfriend through there, which is hilarious. I had like probably 70 matches and probably over 200 likes still.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that good?
That's
On
good.
Tinder, that's pretty good.
Yeah, we have no
Yeah.
reference. Yeah,
we
you're going to have to.
Like, yeah, I mean,
We're not boomers, but
Yeah.
we're kind of yeah, that's true.
we
We're
met
not-
each other 2 years after the Tinder boom. So
Yeah, through a mutual friend. We got very lucky.
Yeah, but like I think probably like the more likes the better because it means people are interested in you and want to match and like see what it's about. And so like I kind of broke it with Spider-Man because it was an immediate like conversation starter for sure because and that I actually probably got a lot more messages than I sent out. Like more people like when they matched they would message me, whereas when you're a guy you typically are the one to send the first message, which is why like a lot of matches don't work out because not everyone can figure out a proper way to start this conversation with just no one, especially because like you don't know exactly what they are into unless they specify in a Tinder bio. So it kind of broke that a little bit, but it made for an interesting
Conversation
experience.
starter.
Yeah.
Wow. I find that interesting.
See, like my conversation started. This actually has worked a couple of times. But my conversation started is, "Hey, you want to come over and build Legos?"
That's a good one.
And it actually works. It's worked a couple times that I've used it. Maybe I should do that, Bryce, and I'll make like a Deadpool profile, or maybe I'll just make like a Jesus profile.
I was gonna say you should do a Jesus profile. That'd be so funny.
oh my gosh.
But
I still think you should be in a white robe and have a big cheddar hat on so you can be Jesus of Nazareth.
that's no.
Jacob, seriously.
I still think that is the
Dad
funniest
joke.
that is the funniest costume I can think of right now.
Oh my goodness.
No. no. Just no.
Okay, though, but like back like on the topic, Rianne, how you said would we use something like that? I don't think I personally would, because although like that would be nice to have something kind of like controlling all of that and like setting it all up. I think there's something nice about controlling it all on your own, because even though like I broke the way Tinder works, essentially I was in control of that because I was like, hey, I'm gonna just do this and see what happens. And so anything that came out of that was kind of as a result of me doing that specifically. And so I kind of like that control, and I wouldn't really want a computer to be controlling all that for me.
Yeah, I would have to second that with Bryson. I don't think I would use an AI in a dating app. I don't think I would either. Just
But
because
aren't
like
you using that kind of already when you use dating profile, like dating apps?
well, I mean, not
Sort of.
kind
But
of,
that's
not
like
really.
that's like mainly to get to the match, because like it's just trying to pair people who it thinks might have similar interests or like similar things. But then anything like after that, you are in control of. So once you match, it's pretty much all up to you. It's Not really anything other than that. Whereas it seems like this like AI driven thing would be determining all that for you. It'd be like, hey, you go do this, or like it even talked about like it may end up being a way for like people to have like relationship counseling and tell them how to do things. And I don't.
Oh yeah, like remember like so and so needs this. So it's
Exactly.
like telling Jacob to tell his wife, me, that I look pretty today. And it's like,
Did
is
the
that,
AI
I
tell you that?
or
Yeah.
do you really think I'm pretty? Kind
Yeah.
of thing.
So-
yeah, that would be. Yeah, sorry, guy.
Oh, I was just gonna say. I mean, like I do kind of like. I really like having the opportunity to, like, be real and ask people out in person, whether it's like a girl that I think is kind of cute in a class that we have together, or if I go to a bar and find someone attractive and want to like ask for their number or just have a conversation with them. I like having that old-fashioned kind of method.
Connection.
I think that's very authentic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Versus like with dating apps, it's kind of
Superficial.
it's more superficial, yeah. But when you have a face-to-face thing and you just start a conversation with
So-
someone that you meet in public, it's more authentic. You jump out of your comfort zone a little bit more, which helps.
But I think that's what this AI or the future of dating apps was trying to do, is rather than going through and swiping yes or no or on anybody, you just say, okay, I'm open to whatever, to have an authentic interaction. And the app just kind of puts people in the same vicinity. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And you're not doing it based off of a swipe on their picture. You're doing it based off of similar, like all these other things. So it's almost like it's trying to coordinate fate in a way.
Okay. So I didn't see the episode of dating, so I'm not too sure. But I mean, like having that idea sounds interesting, and I think I would probably try it at least once. So
Yeah,
just out of curiosity, I probably would.
But
So.
like, at what point is the line between an actually authentic experience and
Yeah.
AI being completely in charge of everything?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of hard to define where that stops.
Well, and then it's also like it's based off of what you put in there, and it's like, I don't know. Do you want a computer knowing you that intimately? Do you want your data that, like, you know what I mean?
well, we're already on that kind of line of track right now with technology, with the algorithms that have created right now and are knowing you better and better as far as like things that you like. That's why more and more applications are giving suggestions based on the stuff that you've watched before.
I think like a
But-
really good example of that is like TikTok. TikTok
yeah.
algorithm is insane. It's kind of scary. Like, you can be talking about something and it immediately shows up on your For You page. And
Yeah.
I think that's a little like
It's a little
weird.
creepy.
Yeah, like it knows. Like, I'll be like having conversations with friends and I pull out my phone and the first thing is something we just talked about, but I hadn't been looking at that stuff before, and I'm like, what was it? Listening?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm pretty
and
sure I get
that's why-
Spider-Man TikToks just because of you, Bryson.
and that's why like we're starting to become too dependent on technology. Like, it's getting to the point now where technology is just going to give you what you want and you're just going to accept it. Like, I really do miss the days where I can just go and search for stuff that I am interested in and just, search for it and then go like after that kind of stuff instead of it just giving it to me. Like, for instance, like with YouTube, like if you start watching a lot of puppy videos, it's just going to keep giving you puppy videos.
Because
Like,
he's a good boy.
and it's like, but I already, had my hour of binging puppy videos. Now I want to watch,
That's
dance
where
videos.
silos get really, I mean, we get in silos and stuff because algorithms do that, and it's crazy. Like, Facebook will do that too. Like, I talked to somebody at work and they were like, oh yeah, so-and-so's having a baby shower, and then an hour later I'm like,
Baby clothes.
literally like infertility stuff, like all this stuff around babies and having babies started popping up on my Facebook.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit creepy.
So
that
like,
way.
so like on one hand, that's actually really interesting, and like, it can continue to give you stuff that you're interested at the moment, and then you switch gears and you get interested in something else. Now the algorithm's trying to catch up and then give you more stuff that you like. But it's like, it's so much more interesting to like stumble upon like a new series or a new video because you're just like, oh, hey, that looks interesting. Let me click on that one and look at it. Instead of being like, hey, you watch this. Here's 10 other things that you might like.
That's actually really how like TikTok and like YouTube work most of the time. Like they know what you like, and then occasionally they'll be like, other people that watch this kind of stuff also like this, so it starts recommending you different things to like test if it's like good for you. So, but I kind of like that aspect of it when it's like, oh, you may be also interested in this, because that's how I get like into new music or like new series on different things, because it's like, oh, you may also like this kind of thing, and so it kind of pushes you in another direction, because I have things that I like now that I probably wouldn't have even thought about.
To.
Exactly. I wouldn't have thought about it like 10 years ago.
If you like Stranger Things, you might like Archive 81 or
Well,
like
it
that.
says because you watched, like on Netflix, it's like because you watched Heart of Dixie, here's a whole slew of shows that you might like. 98% match, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is creepy. But
if that was applied to dating and stuff, like that's I think
because you like Jody, you might like Susie
and her 10 friends.
Oops, that's her roommate. Sorry.
If you like Judy, you might like her.
Recalibrating.
Dating in a small town, be like.
If you like Maddie, you might like her stepsister.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
You
like
know what's
that's-
funny though is back when I had TikTok on my phone, Jacob would take and watch some TikToks and like totally throw off the algorithm, and then I started getting into some weird shiz, and I was like, "What is happening?"
My For You page is so weird. I have the weirdest things on there. I've sent Bryson a few of them.
Yeah,
Dude, you send me some funny stuff.
I post on TikTok, but I don't have that
Like
application on my
Therapy
phone
Gecko?
anymore.
I love Therapy Gecko.
Therapy Gecko's pretty solid.
I've got to see. I'm not on TikTok anymore. Like I took it off my phone because it was just.
It's a time vampire for sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like today,
even
I
YouTube
went.
Shorts is kind of getting like that too.
For you for sure.
YouTube, Facebook, they all have the shorts now.
Yeah,
It's all just reposted TikToks.
Pretty much.
Basically.
Yeah.
But
Same
like
with
they don't.
Instagram.
They don't. But the algorithm's not doing really good for me because I'm not using the application. It seems like the application's algorithm's a lot better than the in browser application, like on the cell phone. That's what I use, which is great because then it's not like it doesn't seem like it's tracking very well. But on YouTube, I love watching like skateboard videos. I love watching like Johnny Geiger. Like he's like my favorite skateboarder right now. I wish I was still skateboarding again. Like it's so much fun to watch. It's so interesting. And then I'll like switch over and I'll watch something else. And so the algorithm's like, I don't know what to give to you because you're just like watching like so many different stuff. It's like now I want to watch like Pokemon card and like Magic card openings, and I'll switch out to like something more political or
nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're totally outing yourself as like a major nerd.
Yeah, that's fine. I grew up around like
Nerds run the world. Good good lord, I cannot speak.
Dude, I'm actually kind of surprised by the amount of people in Cedar City that are super into like D&D and Magic the Gathering and that kind of stuff. I don't know if you've noticed, Bryson, but like so many people that I know are like, hey, like, do you want to try D&D? Do you want to like come over and play Magic the Gathering? And I'm like,
or we talked about this
Like,
at work yesterday, not with you, Kai. I think this was after you left. But a bunch of us were like, wow, there's a lot of theater kids or former theater kids here.
Yeah,
and
I was
because
there.
that's like
Former
so
theater kid.
common here. Exactly. See?
the little Shakespeare Festival is in this
Yeah.
town every summer. So, I mean, like,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Which is why I think a lot of people know about this city and the school is because of the theater program.
Well,
And
yeah,
so
because
that,
it's
like,
a Tony Award-winning.
Exactly. So that
program.
makes sense. Like in this little small town we have, a lot of people are former or still are. Like that makes a lot of sense.
It's literally called the City of Festivals, right? That's
yeah.
what yeah.
Festival City.
Festival City.
Yeah, and pretty much a lot of on my father's side, there's a lot of thespians.
I thought you were
I was-
American.
I thought that was That was perfect timing, dude. That was
Thank you.
immaculate. Great job, Jason.
Our family is just full of artists. Like my sister makes her living as a professional artist. Our grandfather actually did some of the very early artworks for Steamboat Willie, right? Old Mickey Mouse.
Really?
Yeah, all before
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse was Mickey Mouse.
Mhm.
Yeah, Steamboat
Yeah.
Willie.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
So, well, that's kind of all I had to talk about. We took several tangents. That was fun.
Where are we at on time? We usually do about an
Yeah.
hour.
We're at
and a
like
half.
an hour 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we've still got a few minutes.
Wait, we do an hour and a half?
Yeah, we usually do an hour and a half.
I didn't plan for an hour and a half.
That's okay.
That's okay. Hey
We
Bryson,
got plenty
tell
to
us
talk about.
tell us about a conspiracy theory that you actually think it's true.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Ooh.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think about a lot of conspiracy theories. Probably the birds aren't real. The birds work for the bourgeoisie.
Okay,
I
so-
like that one.
Question for you though: If
That's
if
not, is
birds,
that a conspiracy?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it really is.
Legit, It is.
so do you think it's all birds aren't real, or do you think it's just like there's a select few that aren't real, or vice versa? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm not like super into it. I just think it's kind of funny to like hop on that train and being like,
go
birds
down
aren't-
the rabbit hole and you're
birds
just
aren't
like,
real.
they're all
One-
spying on us.
One of my friends in one of my classes, his like JFK wasn't real. It was all a lie. It was all just a made up conspiracy. And I find that one just hilarious because I don't
Wait.
think that one's true, but he just likes to be like, yeah, he didn't exist. That's not a real thing.
Saying JFK didn't even exist?
Yeah, and that it was all fake.
Wow.
That's weird. So, like, there's conspiracy theories out there that JFK wasn't killed by what's his bucket and it was a coordinated effort.
Mhm.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think he killed himself.
Yeah.
I don't think Kurt
The
Cobain killed
evidence-
himself.
Yeah, definitely. The evidence pointing on both of those instances point very differently than them offing themselves.
Yeah, like I've been listening to Joe Rogan podcasts and he's been talking about a lot of conspiracies.
He
lately.
actually has been lately, which has been.
I think he's been
very
red pilled a
interest-
little bit.
I think he has, honestly, a little bit. He has. I think he's a lot of
But-
his
You guys and Joe
democratic and liberal views are kind
Well,
of becoming more conservative over
he
time.
he is a Democrat. Like
Oh yeah, he's a registered Democrat, but he's
he-
kind of a moderate in my opinion.
he is moderate, but he was like on Bernie Sanders train
Yep.
full force. But he's like bringing up like all this stuff.
Feel the burn.
Yeah,
Feel the
so-
burn.
But it was it's interesting because he's been like outing a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
Joe, you're putting a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah. A lot of the
Careful,
ones
you
that
might end up suicided.
yeah, he might just like end up like
Suicided.
You guys and Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan dead by heart attack. What?
I'm just kidding.
How? He's like the healthiest like podcaster ever.
Not really.
Like he works out
he
like
smokes a lot of dope.
until he until he got COVID. Takes that horse crap.
But it works though. That's the thing. Ivermectin's been
Ivermectin-
used as a antiviral. Like it's over the counter in Africa and stuff, and it's actually in treatments for years. It's been a guy won a Nobel Prize for utilizing it.
yeah, and now
for
it's a
stuff.
generic.
Yeah.
It's been out of the. It hasn't been patented for a while, so now anybody can make it like generically.
Anyway,
Did you hear about my new knock knock joke?
what?
It won a Nobel Prize.
I love the silence and then Jacob's laughing.
I love that. I love that shit. I really do.
Just crickets, and then Jacob's like,
He's like, that's funny.
That's the funniest stuff like ever to me. Those kind of very simple
Dad
like dad
jokes.
jokes.
when
yeah.
you brought up the primates, I was just like, hey, remember that the monkeys that I met that were working for Amazon?
no.
Because they were primates.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways,
See, I love stuff like that.
See,
That-
I
that
know
stuff makes
this
me
is
giggle.
why you and Alika get along so
Yeah.
well. Because then there was like a
yeah,
whole
for sure.
episode where you guys went off on a tangent of dad jokes for like a good 15 minutes, and I was like,
Yeah.
Kai
Oh my
makes
gosh.
them all the time
So-
at work.
Okay.
Pretty great.
So kind of coming back to our topic just a little bit here because I forgot about this line of thinking and now I just like remembered it again. But so they talked about like altering DNA and putting data in DNA into plants, right? Mm-hmm. What's to stop them from putting that DNA, that data into our DNA?
It's kind of like what I was talking about earlier. Like genetic power, you could do so much with it. Because like, what's to stop them from like being like, oh, so let's just go into the DNA of humans and start like giving them superpowers by alternating certain genes. Be
Dude,
like,
they're already doing that.
exactly,
Though.
like make people stronger, like find someone with like really efficient muscle fibers and recreate that gene over and over.
Well, that
could
was
until
play
they're
a
like
huge,
super strength.
Yeah.
That could play a huge role in gender as well.
Transhumanism.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually an episode on the future of
Well,
about that.
Interesting.
for me, like my line of thinking is I want to keep humans as human as possible, because I think we,
Damn it! I want a
setting
robotic
aside-
left arm.
well, setting aside from the whole divine nature thing, but just like looking at it from a nature perspective, like I think we're a very unique and a very very fascinating organism. Like we still are trying to understand the brain. Like we still don't understand the brain. Like there's so much about our biology we just don't understand. And then we're going to start playing with that and changing our DNA and being able to like a la carte, like, the eye color of your kids and the gender and hair color and all this stuff. And it's just like, well, at one point, then when do we stop becoming, being human? We can do that through technology. And so it's going to be really interesting to see, because I think it's going to be really great when we can like literally use stem cells with our cells and like recreate like organs that are like broken down, like hearts and livers and stuff like that.
Like 3D printed organs.
Yeah,
I
like that.
love that idea.
That is such an interesting idea, and allowing ourselves to naturally kind of live longer by replacing things that do like go out, I think is going to be great, instead of like replacing human hearts with like pig hearts and stuff like that. I think that'll be really interesting in longevity when that happens. Replacing like Achilles tendons, like you just 3D print another one and just put one on. But then when we start doing to the point where just like, well, if we can put in an Achilles tendon like as a human tendon, but why don't we put like a cheetah's like style of like, tendons into human bodies, or reconstruct knees like elephants, like so you can like have a lot more weight on you. Like
This is like some Ghost in the
end?
Shell type of shit.
No, but that's literally
Jack
okay,
into the
that's what they were talking about on this
into the freaking Matrix,
on
man.
this future of, and like how mechanical suits and all this sort of stuff, and like creating superhumans, and like how they
are okay.
well, they were talking about like how they'd have to kind of create a whole different sports league for these type of individuals, like genetically modified individuals, because it wouldn't be like if you were to have like
They've been enhanced.
yeah,
sort of.
enhanced.
Yeah.
Like it could be dangerous depending on the sports and stuff. So
Yeah, and I think especially sports enthusiasts, I really do believe that people do want to see, different human beings that have the capacity to, break records and stuff like that. But the only way we're going to keep doing that is if we start advancing our bodies. And so at that point, then when does it become unsportsmanlike? Like that's the other thing. Like it's one thing to talk about, as far as like, what a human is and what do we become if we start changing things like that. But then what do our sports become, if we start modifying human beings, like putting in better hearts so they can like, beat faster. Like, when you can start replacing like legs and knees and stuff like that, with better body parts, like not only biologically but even like mechanically. What if we start doing cyberpunk 2077 kind of stuff where you're replacing like every single body part on you, and now you can punch harder, you can run faster, like leap higher.
Do you remember Bicentennial Man?
With Robin Williams?
Yeah. And that's like kind of what it went like.
It kind of went backwards where where the technology became more human over time. Like he
became human. Like he was fighting to become human because he was AI, but at the end he ended up like marrying somebody who was like 130 years old because of all of the human modifications that had come like in medical technology and stuff, like with all that stuff. So I don't know. That was a very long.
That's going to be interesting though, because then because of like if humans, like, and supposedly like way back in the day, like, there's, well, if we go like from biblical texts, like you could say that humans were living for, hundreds, if not thousands of years. But at the same time, it's like, well, were they really following like the way like the days and months and years go at the same time. But it's like, well, then what would happen if we were living to 150 years old instead of like like where were we at right now on average? 80s, 75, 80 for average humans? Like then what's like
No, I think life expectancy is about 73 years old right now.
okay.
Is the average. It used to be like 46.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of individuals were having multiple kids because a lot of times like their children won't die, unfortunately.
Infant mortality was high. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, globally, the life expectancy for women is 75 years old and men it's 70. In America specifically, women is 81 and men is 77.
Okay.
So basically, women live longer than men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Makes,
so that's where those
makes
memes
sense.
came
Men are more
from.
stupid.
Yeah, we eat too much shit. It's all those cheeseburgers, man.
Well, and
No, we just do.
I
way more
regret
stupid things.
nothing.
This the cheeseburgers and the whiskey.
you don't drink whiskey.
Men
No, but
created
just
the saying,
alcohol in
"Hold my
general.
beer," and that's what killed us all.
Yeah, it's the hold my beer concept.
Yeah.
It's-
Hold my beer.
Yeah. Well,
Dies.
and when I reflect on all the Jackass movies that have come out
Oh
over
my
the years,
gosh.
I'm just like, how are none of these guys dead and infertile? Like, and that's the funny thing too is like all of them like have had kids. Like some of them even have like only one testicle from all the stupid stuff that they've
Freaking
done.
Johnny Knoxville. Like,
Like-
how did he
Father children.
Yeah, seriously.
Those
And
kids
are
will be
those
superhuman.
But I don't know. Like,
Super in
Or
one
maybe
way.
a
At
little
least
slow.
resilient, one of the two.
I still need to see Jackass Forever. I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh,
I haven't seen any of them.
I haven't
So
either.
Good.
It makes
So
me,
good.
you got to go back to the CKY2K days before it was like the inception of Jackass. It was just basically like stunts, and it was a hybrid of like stunts and skateboarding with Bam Margera and his crew.
And Steve-O, like,
Yep.
oh, they did the stupidest shit. I remember watching an episode where they got a wild orangutan, and like it stunk so bad, and it was throwing its feces at them, and it was. I'm like, why?
Screw that, man.
Why is this entertainment? I don't get it.
You know, out
Well-
of all four of the primates, the orangutans are probably the safest ones to go with.
That's true.
But still, like these, you know, these apes, like seriously, what are they like 4 or 5 times stronger than men? Like they literally could just rip your.
Uh,
Did you
your
guys
arms
ever
off.
see
It's
that
like-
thing where like apes are like in evolutionary terms are like in the Stone Age essentially?
No.
No.
So like they can like use tools and stuff.
yeah, they
Oh,
hunt
yeah.
with chimpanzees regularly hunt with spears.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know how to use tools. And
Oh, maybe I
everything.
have heard that. Maybe I have heard that.
Dude, a gorilla can bench press a car if it wanted to.
Bro,
Gorillas
the
are
interesting
scary
thing-
strong.
the interesting thing about gorillas is they do not live in trees. They live on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, they're the biggest, baddest things like around town. So like, if anybody wants to F with them, dude, they just walk up and they just start pounding on them. Like they don't give two shits at all.
I would much rather be locked in a room with a gorilla than a chimpanzee.
I would too.
I would none. I would
If I
be
had to-
locked in with none.
If you had to pick, I would pick a gorilla over a chimpanzee.
I mean, if you die by any of them, the gorilla's probably going to be the fastest.
yeah,
Oh,
chimpanzees.
The chimp will just try ripping you apart.
They just grab your testicles and just.
They'll just pound you to death everywhere.
That's what they do. They do. They rip off their other chimps' genitalia.
Their goal isn't to kill you. Their goal is to inflict as much pain as
Yeah.
possible, which includes ripping off your hands, your fingers, your eyes,
Yep.
even
Ew.
Yep.
your lips, your eyebrows, your ears, your testicles.
Exactly. If a gorilla gets mad and wants to kill you, it'll just kill you. It'll be
Yeah.
like, okay, let's just pound it into the ground.
Yeah.
Do you guys? Well, you guys are so young. I have like all these. Like,
Oh,
do you
thank
remember?
you.
Shut up. But like, did you guys ever see Congo?
Yes.
Oh my
I never
gosh,
saw it.
that movie freaked me out. I had nightmares of white gorillas forever.
Planet of the Apes made me scared of monkeys.
Dude, I love that
Yeah.
series. Particularly the new trilogy.
the Matt Reeves, yeah, me too. Good movies.
Anyway,
Any final thoughts?
Mm,
I think we're about that time.
Yeah.
I say
I'm
we
good.
should like. My thought is I think we need to think a little bit more critically and a little bit more extensively before implementing some of the crazy technology that
So
we're
not just progressing technology for technology's sake.
yeah,
instead
not
of like
progressing for progression's sake, but really think about the
consequences
true
and-
impact.
Take a minute to think why we should do something rather than just can
If we can, yes,
Weigh the pros and
100%.
cons first.
Exactly.
And then also think about if, what's the after effects of like the, after the life of the technology or of the
Yeah.
thing.
Part of the problem is I think people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so smart. I figured out how to do this. And like to think through the consequences bruises their ego. And I think sometimes people's ego comes into play way too much in that. And that's what's scary.
Yeah, like during like the World Wars, being like, oh, we figured out how to use nuclear power. Let's make a bomb.
Let's drop them on heads.
Exactly.
But then like
Yeah.
realizing that it like decimates the area, like the whole soil is
Exactly.
tainted for,
Like,
decades. It's
yeah,
like,
like almost 1,000 years.
is it
Well,
1,000 years?
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh
It's
my God.
ridiculous.
But I think honestly,
Hiroshima was the last nuclear detonation, right?
I don't know.
Well, at least on human beings, for
But
sure.
I think honestly,
Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
no, I lost my train of thought,
I'm
Jacob, because you
sorry.
freaking talk
I
over me.
freaking... I'm
Did you
sorry.
know that if you were to fart for 7 years straight, you'd create the same amount of energy as a nuclear bomb?
I don't know about that.
I don't know if that's factually accurate, but it sure sounds cool.
Don't
That
ask
is
me how I
funny.
know that.
How do you know that?
Yeah, where did that fact come from? His ass?
It's definitely talking out of it, that's for sure.
Hey, you're sitting next to me. If anything rips, you're getting the full front of it.
Yeah, well, it's all right. Sharing is caring.
Oh my gosh.
The
Honestly,
smelly smell
though,
that smells.
Oh,
I
man.
think. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. I think when we're creating new things and everything, we really need to understand and take into consideration the whole nature of man. Right? Like the whole nature of the human race. Not just like, oh yeah, this would be so cool, but like think through how it could be used in nefarious ways for people who
Oh, you mean like social media?
seriously. Yeah. Like the unintended consequences of social media is suicide rates have increased, especially in youth. Like
And young
there's
girls, yeah. It's
yeah.
really high on young girls.
It's-
bad.
it's really, really scary sometimes if we don't think through things. I mean, and really take into consideration that, yes, while there are so many good people in the world, there are also people who
Yeah.
don't always intend good
Yeah.
and
True.
have egos and have greed and all that stuff. And so it needs to be all considered.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, that's my final thought for the day. Anybody else?
No, I think that's a good place to end
I
it.
think it's a great place to end it.
Okay.
And from our family to yours,
Good night.
good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Today's video is sponsored by viewers like you, so thank you. If we earned your subscription today, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button, click that damn bell, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a content release. The best way to support the channel is to like this video, share it with family and friends, and don't forget to leave a comment down below. Send all of your topic ideas, articles, and video links to theperiodicreview@gmail.com. All of our links are in the description down below.